Welcome to the EGC 20K Age of Empires 4 tournament. This is the finals. Prepare yourself for the second engagement. Salutations! My name's Anuki, and you can forget that trivial bit of information because what's important is this. This commander's weaves are blue. Some people say that they were taught to play RTS by an ancient golem. Leading the Mongols, it's the Viper, with their Uvu starting just to the north. But we're gonna travel to the south with ribbons of red. They have the strength of 2,000 mice. The general of the new French venture, TheMista. We have arrived on Dry Arabia this time, a local map for local people. No one is a stranger to Dry Arabia. Now, before I forget, just a recap of the rules. You can only win once with each civilization. Now that it's a best of 7, 4 wins are required. That means you must win with half of the civilizations available in the game. You can't just win with France. But in fact, France has lost so much, probably because everyone knows how to counter them. Don't pick France. So, in the last match, in case you've forgotten already, TheMista conquered the people of England as the Abbasid dynasty. It was a long, drawn-out battle, a slow burn. TheMista always seemed to have the upper hand, but didn't want to do anything risky. Will this be an indication of how they approach this battle and future ones? As for the Viper, England worked against them. It's very desirable when playing England to force those longbows to work. However, like we've seen quite often with France, predictability is an exploitable weakness. We can likely expect Royal Knights from the Viper this time as France, but unlike England, France has a few more options to support their Royal Knights, especially against an opponent leading the Mongols. TheMista gets eyes on that Uvu and a barracks that's about to spew out a couple of spike boys. Yep. Archers will be TheMista's friend once they get into feudal age, if Viper keeps amassing up spears. We're still about 2 or 3 minutes away from that, though. These are some very early spears. Could this be a quick Mongol tower rush to isolate TheMista? The Khan is about to go have a scout just to make sure they are running in the right direction. Now, we have seen a Mongol tower rush attempted a few times in the final 16, but not more so than Mongols just trying to race into Castle Age and outpace their enemy. What is this? A rhetorical question. It's a wall. Oh, I feel conflicted. Okay, I love walls. I love clever uses of walls, and this is a clever wall. The gold is protected very well. You've got the tower for villagers to hide in, a funnel mouth opening closer to the town center. But TheMista saw a barracks out, and its downfall someone would use spears to try and harass the gold line, and the Viper is indeed bringing towers. If only this mining camp were placed on the opposite side, so the villagers have a bit more distance to them and the tower was in front, so just kind of switching the buildings around would have made the job of the Khan there slightly harder. We've got another tower going down. The Khan trying to get a villager with their spear buddies. Nice speed boost try. Now, the reason why I said I was conflicted by this wall, and I didn't quite get to it, the whole point of the Mongol tower rush is to choke your opponent, to isolate them. That's exactly what this wall is doing. It's helping the Viper isolate TheMista. Instead of wood for these walls, wood for towers would have created a larger early game defensive area, but hey, now we get to look forward to how TheMista handles this scenario. Break free from the shackles of their oppressors and return unto them the chains of suffering. The spears working on the wall as a new tower went up. A lengthy process because lighting up those torches is a hell of a burden, all for destroying a single segment of the wall. Taking a look at how the Mongols under Viper's command are developing, not much, obviously. There's a Gur moving closer to the Uvu. Now, I don't think Viper will be looking to get a better wheelbarrow or other gathering upgrades that the Mongols get. Every age, the Mongols can basically use their stone to get an enhanced gathering upgrade, which provides a bonus 5%. So that means in the Imperial Age, that's an extra 15% total. But that costs 250 stone for the first upgrade, 500 for the next one, and 1,000 for the last one. That's a massive amount of stone for something that is only going to be worth it 5 to 10 minutes after researching it. The Viper needs haste right now, and that extra stone will want to be used to maintain the pressure. They've committed to building so many outposts. If they can maintain that contain, putting the strain on Mista's campaign, then Viper will attain the terrain, expanding their domain that they reign. Of this I am certain. Another tower for the villagers to have to run around obstacles to get into, but that's just fine. So, it's the School of Cavalry for the Mista. You'd have to be mad to have chosen anything else. And the Deer Stones for the Viper. I'm not sure if anyone has thought how unlike deers these stones are. Nevertheless, those stones provide the Yam network influence, which means infantry units move faster on foot. Considering the circumstances, the Viper will benefit greatly from this because they'll be able to move their units into position quicker and cross the map faster. It's like the infantry will have gotten new shoes. I could use a new pair of shoes. For some reason, my 15-pound shoes don't last very long. And I refuse to spend over 100 pounds. That's crazy. I don't walk much. I'm not very good at walking. If I get better at walking, then maybe I'll get new shoes that match my level of ability. But not using money that I get from this, because these videos are not monetized. That's right, you are literally stealing, not from me, but from YouTube. Nice work. Getting back at them for adding that bell button. Don't you dare touch it, it's a horrid monstrosity. Instead, why not check out the video description? There is more information about the Elite Gaming channel, the hosts of the tournament. They'll be running more events on a regular basis for you to consume with your ocular meatballs. You can join their Discord where the information will be consolidated. Likewise, you'll find information about us, Ironcast. If you are interested in getting involved, maybe you want to have your games casted, maybe you want to join our community events like big faction, team-based, class-based battles, then become a legend by joining discord.me/Ironcast. The Mista is trying to stockpile food whilst they are siege, bringing in the deer. The Viper moving in to try and deny that. It's a smart move from the Mista, buying themselves more time for resolution. They aren't completely surrounded by towers yet. They can still break out of their settlement. An archery range and a school of cavalry means Royal Knights and archers. The archers being the important aspect because they'll need to deplete any spears Viper has for the knights. The first order of business will be to ensure that no more towers get constructed. That way they aren't completely locked in. Maybe we'll see some battering rams. The Mista would first need a blacksmith. The Viper already has one. They will be getting their own archer soon with slightly better, more pointy arrows. Nifty. We're approaching the 10-minute mark. I like to call this the early mid-game. The Mista with their 4 scouts sees where the Viper is. They know where the Viper wants to be to build that extra tower, and they will do everything in their power to stop that. The Viper has the numbers, but the Mista has home advantage. More archers surely on their way. And a blacksmith in development at the back of the French settlement. A battering ram would make light work of all of the towers, but it costs hundreds of wood. 6 archers worth of it, in fact. So maybe in a little while, the Mista, I think, will prioritize the stability that a fighting mobile force can bring before toppling the towers. The Viper runs under that tower for protection. They're like one of those Dark Souls invaders who think they're really hardcore. Come on, 1v1 me, noob, but then immediately run into a monster at the first sign of trouble. Using that analogy, I have to say, that changes how I view this strategy. The Viper, this is despicable. But I understand, it's France you are dealing with. We can only attempt to ascertain who here is the lesser evil. Phone in now or register your vote with teletext using the red button on your remote. The scouts looking to acquire more deer, it appears. And there's some right here. No? Going for the furthest first. Sensible, rational, logical. This way the Viper can't go collect these later on. And the more deer, the better, because farming space is slim. An outpost going up. It's a good job Age of Empires 4 doesn't have lengthy production chains, TheMista. You farm the grain, you put the grain in the mill to make the flour, then take it to a baker, and they go get a bucket of water. But where does the bucket come from? What are those noises? This is no tennis match. When we say grunts, that's not what we mean. The woodcutter's in trouble. There won't be any buckets for the baker at this rate. Stop dying, you cowards! I can just visualize a meme video waiting to happen. What if RTS players grunted like tennis players when making plays? Here comes the cavalry flank. Slam your finger down on the keyboard. The spears form a wall and brace. This is quite the rally. The back and forth is tremendous. Another outpost is going down. The scouts bringing home the forest beef. And I would say the Viper has fully encircled the Mista's tiny cute settlement with towers. I cannot think of any better time than now to vote battering ram for Chancellor of the French Republic of France. It could even make use of putting units inside the battering ram. Ooh, that would be an idea, wouldn't it? Archers inside the battering ram. The spearmen must attack the battering ram to defend, allowing the cavalry to roam around the archers. But there is no such research technology for the battering ram. Clearly, my plan was overcomplicated. Let's just charge towers with knights and burn the effers to the ground. Yeah, that'll do it. The Viper can't be in two places at once, can they? I can say with almost some possibility that they maybe couldn't. So for now, they will remain in one place, but they will be very fast in one place, shooting a movement speed flare. I've never seen standing still done so fast. The big news is, though, the Viper is donating resources to the Battering Ram Fund. Go fund me a battering ram. I've spent almost 15 minutes of my life preparing to destroy the French, and I just need this one gallant push to do it. What can Viper pilfer from this push? Remember, the Mongols get money for setting buildings on fire. It makes a hell of a good reason to smash simple buildings like houses or logging camps, because it doesn't take much for them to burn. 50 gold and 50 food. It's not something to scoff at. TheMista seemingly looking to try and get in position. The archers gather behind the town center. Heavy cavalry on the left. Scouts, what the hell are you going to do on the right? The spears ready to interject. This is a tough spot for the TheMista to be in, but they might have enough cavalry to beat those spears into submission. They're going to go and try it and see if they have anything left. They will cut through the spears at great cost of precious life. The archers are next, pushing them back stutter stepping with archer fire, fighting under the towers. They're going to get inside of them. How tough are these knights? The villagers at the back tasked with breaking the rams. The knights finally given the order to retreat. Able to survive this onslaught, but the losses are on the Mista's side. They did gain a guild hall, signaling their advancement into the castle age. Meanwhile, the Viper still trailing behind in the feudal age. No current signs of advancing. They do, however, have another town center in development. Now, for the Mista, being able to access men-at-arms could be massive. But we've seen it quite a lot. Sometimes French players just get stuck in a Royal Knight loop. When there's a cheaper, better unit for the situation, it's plain and simple. Archers don't hurt men-at-arms, and spears don't damage bonus against them either. Unlike knights, very susceptible to spears, because spears have damage bonus. I can keep repeating the same thing over and over again, and yet I'm still frustrated by how much I've seen France just keep bringing in knights. Now, this is the best use for them at this stage. Attempt to harass. It might not be successful. So long as you don't lose knights, it is a success because you're forcing your opponent to have to deal with something. So, the Mista has completed the tutorial and now released into the open world, a living, breathing world, as every game would tell you on the back of their box. The Viper quickly escalates into the Castle Age 2 with the Steps Redoubt. That will provide a huge gold influx with which to improve their army's status. The question that is most prominent on my mind, though, is if they will need that much gold. If the Mista doesn't incorporate swords and shields into their army, then a spiky bit of metal on a grand stick will suffice, and that only costs food and wood. But they can always sell the gold on the international exchange, or leap into the Imperial Age. Gold opens up so many windows, or doors if you aren't a thief. Right now I'm seeing the same army makeup for the Mista. They need some more houses. Houses are on their way. They've got this nice little hub in the corner. I doubt Viper will find this. The rest of the towers is a task for the heavy large cavalry, the large heavy cavalry, or the cavalry which is large and heavy. The Viper knows exactly what to get to counter this. This will be the last use of these outposts, granting vision of Mista's army composition. And what a tremendous advantage that will be. In fact, the Viper does find the little corner hub. Oh no. Oh! Come closer, silly scout. Peek into the forest. See thy naked bushery. Oh, the knights ruined it with their clumsy, chunky galloping, but even with them striding in with the guile and covertness of a whale on a skateboard, the archers were right at the edge of the forest, which the scout could see. They'd have to have been positioned at the back of the forest for it to work. It's a shame. I really love seeing the stealth forest get used. In fact, it's one of my top Google search entries. Dry Arabia, though, tends not to have great stealth forest placements for it to be an occurrence. Aha, that's what the Viper is going to do with all that extra gold. They will reallocate villagers that would have been on gold to do other important tasks. Stands to reason. The Viper moving that blacksmith over to the Uvu. They could be looking to get the upgrade which allows them to construct mangonels, springelds, and trebuchets. It's a cheap upgrade, mainly 175 stone. There is another improved upgrade Mongols can get in the Castle Age. The blacksmith has the military academy upgrade, which normally increases training time of units by 25%, costs 250 gold and some wood. For an extra 350 stone, though, you can make that 35% instead, so an extra 10%. The Mista bringing in a large heavy cavalry brigade all the way around the western flank. They'll either get some villages or, more probable, find out that the Viper has substantially invested into training new soldiers and equipping them with the latest and greatest gear. The Knights burning down a tower. The Viper to respond, those spears more deadlier than ever before. The slowest knight is slain, as is the way. The AM network speed truly is a remarkable thing. Infantry is almost able to keep pace. Where are we going with this? Is the TheMista trying to loop back around? It's a possibility that I don't think can occur. Breaking off and taking a breather in the middle of the map. Meanwhile, the Mongols are assembling spring elds. These will devastate those royal knights, but not more than the crossbow section will. The TheMista almost charging into this nightmare. Seriously, crossbows are the cost-effective solution because crossbows are effective against a wider range of units and safer. They aren't cumbersome like spring elds. It's a responsive unit. At a click of a button, you can weave these crossbows in and out of firing. Despite these kind of crossbows being realistically hard to reload, that hand crank mechanism is a difficult process to do unless stationary, as my grandmother found out the hard way, trying to use the internet. Can the TheMista stop a Viper's offense? Red flanker cavalry have a spear division in front of them. Viper brings them back into the fold. They are bundling up, but that leaves the spring elds exposed. The TheMista has them surrounded, but that just means Viper can fire indiscriminately in all directions until the TheMista brings a mangonel. Balling up is no longer an option. Get your ball out of my base. But Viper is reluctant to oblige. Two spring elds take out the mangonel. It's mostly just crossbows left for Viper. The Khan still issuing orders from the front. What a valiant and brave Khan that is, inspiring the crossbows to fire faster. The TheMista largely ignored that Khan until now. The archers could have killed them a few times over. It's been a long, hard fight. The TheMista slowly succumbing to fate. Reinforcements still arriving on both sides, but the TheMista's reinforcements comes in the form of peasants. An act of desperation, I assure you. The villagers lacking in any combat training and resolve, unable to pull themselves up by the bootstraps and step up to the plate. So, with the TheMista pushed back into the streets, Viper will surely be looking to rally up something mighty enough to start demolishing these buildings, forcing the TheMista into subservience. Lots of villagers on gold, the marketplace being used, trading gold for food. I often trade gold for food myself. It's exciting, let me tell you that. The spring eld that popped out of the siege workshop at an ill time. The TheMista probably sending what little they had to try and make the best out of the situation. They don't have spring elds to spare. Getting pushed back, all of their units raise the white flag. France has suffered a defeat. The Viper is granted victory as the Mongols. This was match 2. We're bored of it now, so join me in match 3, where we do this all again, but this time we'll do it better. And surely you'll have time during this best of 7 to pop down and have a lovely cuppa on discord.me/Ironcast. My name's Anuki. I'll see you soon.